Did you go to public school? Most people did. So in today's video, what I want to visit with you about is what I call the school mindset. So my name is Jackie, and I am the founder of Homeschool Think Tank and host of the Homeschool Think Tank Parenting Podcast. And I want to visit with you about the difference between schooling and education. So most of us have the mindset that school equals education. And this is especially true if you attended a traditional public school or even a private school that emulates that public school model. It's also very possible if you were homeschooled, especially if your parents attended public school. Because what happens when we go to school is we start thinking that there is a certain way that we should approach education. And it looks like school. So I think as a homeschooling parent that understanding your mindset is really important. And it's really critical to your ability to succeed at homeschooling your kids. Now, if you went to public school, this is very much how it was when I was a kid, and I don't really think a whole lot has changed over the years. Although I will say there are some teachers who don't necessarily follow that traditional model, and I recognize that. But here's sort of how it looks. And before I move forward, it's also about the system. So regardless of the teachers, there's this mindset that you're developed by simply being in the system. And we'll talk about that more in a moment. So here's sort of how it looks. Monday through Friday, children go to school. So you're already being told what you're going to do on specific days of the week. At least for most kids in America, August through May or June. So maybe August or September to May or June. So for 9 to 10 months of the year, you're told what you're going to do Monday through Friday. And then we're also told exactly what hours we're going to go and learn, as though we can't learn outside of those hours. So probably around 8 in the morning till maybe 3 to 4 in the afternoon, you are in school if you are a child of compulsory school age, which is generally between the ages of 5 and 18, but I do think it seems to me that they're going to be lowering those ages over time, but we'll see. And the reason I think that is a lot of the daycare that's funded by our public education system. I think it's a stepping stone to dropping the compulsory school age. Now, so we have the certain months, certain days, certain hours. Now, let's say your children are in school. When they get home, we know what they're going to be doing in the evening, especially the older they get. They do homework. So not only are your days filled with school, but you're also told how you're going to spend your evenings, and that's doing school. Now let's talk about the actual school day. When you get to school, well, we go into the classroom. In America, traditionally, you say the Pledge of Allegiance, there's announcements coming over the intercom, with the updates for the day, and then that probably happens again toward the end of the day. And then the teacher takes roll to see who's there, and we're going to mark people absent. And if your children don't happen to be in school and you didn't inform the school, you're going to get a phone call to find out why your kids aren't there, because it's their business as why your children aren't there. So, and you have to tell them if your child isn't going to be there. And you do also plan your vacations around that public school calendar. So most of America does vacations at the same time, in the summertime or maybe at a holiday break. But you see what I'm saying is just the system alone, you are told what you're going to do, and when you're going to be there, and when you can have breaks and when you can't. And then when you're in school, we're going to do these certain things at these certain times. And you really can only learn about math right now, but when the time is up, we're going to quit. It doesn't matter if you're in the middle of a thought process, in the middle of a problem, you're going to shut your book and move on to the next thing. That's what we do. And at this time, we're going to eat. It doesn't matter if you are hungry an hour earlier. You just have to wait until it's your lunchtime. And by the way, your most basic needs, you must ask for permission. Let's raise our hand to see if we can go to the bathroom, shall we? And if you need to blow your nose, you probably need to ask to go to the bathroom to blow your nose, or to get up and go get a tissue. You have to raise your hand for even the most basic needs. If you want to say something, you have to ask for permission again. So you see, the whole system is training you to ask for permission. And they're also training you to wait to be told what to do and what to learn. Instead of, before children are school age, you are getting, you have curiosity and you're learning about things because you're curious. And this is just, what we do. And especially like for me, my kids, I was a stay-at-home mom. So we're just out doing things. And if the kids ask questions, you answer the questions. They go to the bathroom when they want to go to the bathroom. When they're hungry, I feed them. Not that I didn't have meals planned ahead of time, but if they were hungry earlier, that's fine. We eat. And quite frankly, on some days, if we had something planned and they were so cranky that I would just scrap it because this isn't going to work today. We could actually sort of allow moods and feelings and all of those things too. But when your kids go to school, you are very much indoctrinated to behave a certain way, do things at a certain time. I mean, really, you're even told when you're allowed to sleep because you have to be up by this certain hour to get to school on time. And I don't know about you, but when I was a teenager, I missed out on quite a bit of sleep because I was up till 2 a.m. doing homework. And then you got to be at school again at 8 a.m. So what I'm saying is there's a whole system and a whole way that you're supposed to do things. And by the way, we're supposed to learn out of textbooks or these days computer programs. And again, we're waiting to be told what to do and what to learn instead of actually wondering and being curious. So we are socialized as a society to believe that that schooling equals education. And I'm here to tell you they're very different. Schooling, in my opinion, is a system. And yes, education can happen at school, but there are so many ways you're being educated. Yeah, you might be learning about math or learning how to read or learning about history or science, but you're also learning to wait for people to tell you what to do and what to learn and when to learn it. And I just think that's BS. So I want to make sure that you, as a parent, recognize that we have all been indoctrinated and that we have all been trained to think that schooling equals education, and education is so different. Education is about learning. When people learn the most, it's when they have the questions, when they want to know about something, when they want to learn about something. So, with so many things as a parent, part of helping your children learn is helping them find that desire to learn about something, to understand how to do something. But, games are a great way to learn too. It doesn't always have to come out of a workbook or from a computer program. I know this is an example I just love. My oldest daughter, when she was, maybe 12ish, she was really into reading Rick Riordan's books, the 39 Clues series. And there's a lot of history involved, so a lot of historical fiction there, but there's truth to some of it too. But those books were such a great way to spark her curiosity. And what would happen is she would read a book and then she would want to know more about that historical period, and she would go off on her own and do a ton of research about the history of something. And the one that I always remember she was the most into was Anastasia Anastasia Romanoff, the Romanoff family. And so she was researching and actually writing papers all on her own, not with me telling her to do so. And then she was looking at pictures and she was drawing portraits, and there was so much education that happened around reading those books. And so her curiosity was sparked and she wanted to learn more. And she learned far more about history and then about writing and all sorts of other things because she was curious, because it came from within. It wasn't me assigning a paper about this book. She just did it on her own. It was something she wanted to do. So something I think is so important as a homeschooling parent is, yes, you understand the difference between schooling and education. As a homeschooling parent, well, this is called homeschooling. I honestly really quite hate the term homeschooling, but I named my company Homeschool Think Tank because that's what people look for when they want to know about homeschooling. But it is about learning. It's about education. I believe that homeschooling is about connection, community, education, about family, right? And so something I want to encourage you to do is check the link that goes with this video, and you're going to find more information that is really helpful to you. You know, there's an article that goes with this video, but then I always include in my articles other information that you might also be interested in. So I have another article all about different styles of homeschooling, different approaches and methods to homeschooling your children. And I think you're going to find that information to be really useful. So if you can open your mind up and recognize that we've all been trained to look at education in a certain way, and I'm here to tell you, I recognized this very early on as a homeschooling parent. I can't say I really recognized it when I first was thinking about homeschooling though, but it's as I started homeschooling my kids, I started seeing this, and as I started learning more. But even when you recognize it, it can be so difficult to change your mindset and to allow yourself to do things differently than it's done in school, because we've just been so well trained. So learn about different approaches, different styles and methods of educating your children. Understand that wherever you live in the world, you have been indoctrinated in some way, socialized in some way to think that school should look a certain way. And I want to encourage you to think about homeschooling as more about education and about learning and helping your children progress and grow, and not always being so concerned about, are they on grade level? Because I'm here to tell you, every kid develops differently at different speeds, and some kids are going to be really ahead over here and really behind over here, and vice versa. It's not like you really, just because you're developing at this level with reading doesn't mean you're developing at the same level with math. They might be imbalanced, and that's totally okay, because that's another way that we've been socialized to think that we should all be progressing in all of these subject areas, which life is not divided into subject areas. It is a combination of things. But we've all been conditioned to think we should progress at the same rate in everything. And that's just not the way that it works. So recognize that you've been indoctrinated, you've been socialized to think of schooling equals education. It doesn't. Although you are being educated at school, but sometimes in ways that you don't necessarily think is great. And other ways that are good, but you can learn and be educated outside of a school setting. And understand there's different approaches to homeschooling your children. Understand that we all develop at different levels, and also understand that your children are going to learn the most when it's fun, and when they have the question in their mind, when they want to learn about something or they need to know about something. That's when they're going to learn the most about anything. And just try to start opening up your mind to different ways of education. All right, that is what this video is about. It's just helping you think about schooling versus education and opening up your mind. And also, I almost forgot to brush on this point that is really important. The purpose of education is honestly to help you survive and to in the world, in whatever world you live in. You know, once upon a time, hunting and gathering was the way you survived, and that was your education. Now there's, you know, technology skills and all of these math skills that you need and reading. And so the purpose of education is to help your children grow up and be able to take care of themselves and to have options as to how they're going to go about that. So again, opening up your mind and just understanding where you're going, which is to help your children be able to take care of themselves someday and live on their own and be able to feed themselves, shelter themselves, clothe themselves, take care of their own children someday. That's the purpose of their education. It's not to pass a test or to write a specific paper or to check all the boxes that your state says you should check, because quite frankly, there's a lot of boxes you need to be able to check that the state doesn't even recognize, right? So, and also just appreciating that we all have different strengths and that we can all make a living and take care of ourselves in different ways. All right, that's it for today. Go ponder this for a while, really think about it. Let me know what you think. There's an article that goes with this video, so definitely comment. I would love to hear your comments. And some of you may not agree with me, totally okay. I'll hear those comments too. And others may be going, yes, I get that. So that's it for today. Live and learn your way. My name is Jackie, and I am your host of the Homeschool Think Tank Parenting Podcast and video channel. All right, bye-bye.